Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a $5 billion bridge. It's meant to be this gleaming symbol, of harmony across the border, economic might.
Mhm.
But what if that same project ends up becoming, well, a monument to miscalculation, and all because of a single tweet?
It's really fascinating how quickly the whole landscape just shifted there.
Yeah.
We're talking about a pretty high-stakes power struggle
Right.
where you've got national pride, economic survival, all colliding in ways that, frankly, few saw coming.
So today, our mission is really to explore that rapid unraveling of trust between the U.S. and Canada, specifically in this key economic sector.
And Canada's response, which was surprisingly quick, very strategic.
Exactly. Now, before we really get into these crucial insights, if you're keen on understanding this intricate dance of global power, make sure you subscribe to the Geopolitics Gazette. You'll get more essential context there.
Okay, so the Gordy Howe International Bridge. From Washington's point of view, this was way more than just infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. This nearly $5 billion span linking Detroit and Windsor, it was really envisioned as the crown jewel of North American trade.
A symbol.
A very tangible symbol of American economic leadership. Power and prestige, really, given physical form.
Right, and that just makes you wonder, how could 280 characters basically unravel decades of that shared trust?
It seems incredible.
Well, the turning point was March 2025. Donald Trump's tweet hits, announcing this surprise 25% tariff.
On Canadian and Mexican auto parts specifically.
Exactly. A very abrupt policy pivot, seemingly out of nowhere.
And the impact, it wasn't subtle, was it? It was immediate, brutal.
No, not at all. Supply lines were just severed. Factories on both sides, they started cutting shifts almost right away.
Billions in U.S. exports just piling up.
Yeah, stuck at the border crossings. And that brand new bridge, the Gordy Howe, still being built.
Suddenly it wasn't a symbol of unity anymore. It was, well, a $5 billion question mark.
A monument to miscalculation, as you said. Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Canada's response wasn't just reactive. It wasn't just scrambling.
Okay.
It was actually a carefully planned countermove. Some observers even called it an economic declaration of independence.
Led by Mark Carney.
Mark Carney, yes, the former Bank of England governor. He spearheaded this pretty unorthodox strategy.
So what did that actually look like on the ground? What did the strategy entail?
Well, one key piece was something called the Reciprocal Framework Regulation. Think of it like an autonomous economic defense system.
Okay.
It basically automatically matched any new U.S. tariffs, almost like clockwork.
So no debate, no delay, just tit for tat immediately.
Precisely. It showed Canada was serious about immediate, proportionate retaliation. Took the politics out of each response, in a way, a playbook for asserting economic sovereignty, really.
And then there was the BeatScope program. That was a big fund, right? $10 billion.
That's right, a $10 billion emergency fund designed to help Canadian manufacturers weather the storm.
But there was a catch, wasn't there?
There was, a critical one. To get the aid, companies had to commit to reducing their reliance on U.S. suppliers.
Ah, so it wasn't just aid, it was strategic reshaping.
Exactly. It was about de-risking their supply chains long-term, pushing Canadian companies to diversify, become less vulnerable to future U.S. policy swings, building resilience.
Canada also got clever with regulations, I understand. These melt and cast rules on the West Coast. Some people called it legal espionage.
Yeah, that's a catchy phrase. It wasn't really spying, though. What those rules did was require raw materials, even if they came from outside, to go through specific processing steps inside Canada.
Ah, okay.
So it effectively forced transparency onto the supply chains. Canada could see where dependencies were, and it helped nurture their own domestic industries at the same time. Subtle, but powerful.
And beyond just defending, they were building too, right? Things like the green hydrogen corridor.
Yes, exactly. That highlights the proactive long-term vision. While they were defending against the immediate tariff threat, they were simultaneously investing in Canada's future.
Creating domestic demand, jobs.
Right, around 1,000 jobs from that project alone, fueled by Canadian mills. And pushing towards energy independence. It was a dual strategy, defense and development.
And we can't forget the diplomacy angle. The lobster wars really stand out.
Oh, definitely. Canada's new trade deals, like CETA with Europe and the CPTPP in the Pacific, these were huge.
Connected them to massive markets.
Over 1.5 billion consumers, essentially. These deals effectively outflanked the U.S., which had pulled back from some of these agreements.
And the lobster example shows the real-world impact.
It really does. You saw a 40% plunge in American lobster exports. Meanwhile, Canadian exports just soared.
Wow.
Maine fishermen are saying they couldn't compete, even in their own waters. It just underscores how you can use multilateral deals to counter bilateral pressure.
It's a fascinating case study in economic strategy. If you're finding these kinds of insights into global power dynamics compelling, it's a good moment to remember to subscribe to the Geopolitics Gazette for more essential context like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really quite stark is how quickly the pain spread beyond just the policy documents and trade figures.
You mean the human impact?
Exactly. Small factories, say in Wayne County, Michigan. Founders that had somehow survived the 2008 crash, survived the pandemic, suddenly they were facing extinction, not because of global competition, but because of a policy decision made in Washington.
Yeah, you heard stories, Detroit assembly lines slowing down, a waitress in a diner in Windsor noticing her regular auto worker customers weren't getting as many shifts.
These are real livelihoods. And the markets noticed too, right?
Oh, for sure. The Canadian dollar actually strengthened while U.S. markets got jittery.
And then it all kind of boiled over publicly at the G7 summit in Canmore, Alberta.
The shouting match.
Yeah, between Trump and Carney. It was a very visible signal that the alliance, that old trust, was seriously fractured. A new, much tenser reality had arrived.
So eventually, the Gordy Howe Bridge did open September 17th, 2025.
It did. But the reality on the ground was, well, stark. Traffic was way down. Only about 700 vehicles a day.
Compared to projections of?
Over 10,000. Around 10,200 was the projection. So it pretty quickly became a financial burden for Canadian taxpayers.
And the old Ambassador Bridge just kept humming along.
Pretty much, yeah. It remained popular, partly because the tolls were lower.
So here's the real kicker, the ultimate irony in all this.
Go on.
Trump's America First strategy, which was supposed to strengthen the U.S., arguably pushed Canada, inadvertently, to reach this whole new level of economic independence.
It really backfired in that sense.
Yeah. The bridge, that symbol of American trade policy, it ended up becoming a $5 billion symbol of something else entirely.
Of how a hardball strategy against a friend just hardened that friend's resolve to find their own path, to go it alone.
That post-World War II promise of shared dependence, it felt shattered.
A fundamental shift.
So what does this all mean for you listening? In a world where these long-standing alliances can just be reshaped, sometimes by a single decision, how do nations navigate that delicate balance between cooperation and self-reliance?
It's the crucial question.
For more deep explorations into the forces shaping our world, make sure to subscribe to the Geopolitics Gazette. Thanks for joining us on this exploration today.